Hi guys, I have a lot to tell you and I don't really know how I'm going to fit this all in one video without rambling too much, but I'm going to try and just do it in a one-taker. I'm probably jinxing myself now, but I'd like to not have to edit this and just be able to post it. And that being said, I'm going to try from this point forward to post anything that's related directly just to trying to conceive back on my old channel that I used to post things in, look, here I go already, right? That channel evolved from being a weight loss channel to a why can't I lose weight channel to a oh I have PCOS and now I can't have a baby channel. So that's what that is, and I like to try and kind of keep a lot of that stuff out of this space because this is supposed to be my sort of happy distraction place. But in my effort to kind of talk about weight loss and things like that, I sort of brought a lot of that over here. And I know that there are some of you who aren't interested in that, and I know that there are some of you who maybe can't relate or don't relate, but you want to see it anyway. So that's why I'm just letting you know that from this point forward, if there is more to talk about, I will do that there. So, first of all, thank you for all of the support on my other video. I read most of your comments. Some days I've just been too upset to even look, and I've been having a hard time opening social media on my phone, Instagram. I just don't want to see the world yet, and I don't really have anything for the world yet. So I'm in a much better place now than I was, a couple days ago even, but I'm still definitely feeling the effects of all of this. And I think that on the surface, I like to tell myself that I'm fine and I'm just going to keep moving. But I can tell at other times that this has very much shaken me and Mike in a very impactful way. I mean, I can tell it's done a number on us emotionally, and we're still not really sure how to get through the day-to-day. So thank you though to everybody. I mean, the support has just been, I don't want to glaze over that. The support has been unbelievable. The cards, the fact that some of you have sent me cards, I just, I don't know. And I don't want to get into it. And I don't think that this is something that I want to even make it look like I've even noticed. But it's funny when you're in a TTC community and there are others who are hurting, or there are others who are experiencing loss or experiencing pain, and it's weird to see who does and doesn't support you when something like this happens. And I'm not saying that there are people who would wish it on me. I would hope not. And I'm not saying that there are people who are glad that it happened to me, but sometimes that's how it feels. So I guess you just really find out who cares and who actually recognizes that you have lost something, that you are experiencing sadness and actual loss. So I appreciate that, because Mike and I have a really exceptionally good marriage, in my opinion. I think that we have dealt with this better than I could have asked for us to, and we have become stronger for it. But this one hurt. This hurt a lot. So Easter, we usually celebrate my birthday with my mom's side of the family, which still doesn't really feel right without my grandma around, because that's when we would do it. We'd go to my grandma's house. And my mom and sister have done a lot to make that special for me and still feel nice. But this year we felt empty for a whole nother reason. And even after we had the time to, spend with family, Mike and I just crawled into bed at like 7 o'clock and just cried ourselves to sleep. And that was probably the hardest day, because it was the first time we both really broke down, and he's usually the strong one, sometimes to a fault almost. Sometimes I yell at him for being so positive because it makes me feel like I can't experience sadness, but I learned that day pretty quickly that I would much rather he take that role on than ever see him hurt in this situation. So the 7th was a big day for us, though, because the 6th I started bleeding, and I had up until that point basically had a miscarriage and didn't know how long it would go on for. And if you had asked me on Easter, or if you had asked me on the 6th, I would have said, I'm pretty sure I'm going to opt for a DNC because I wanted it to just be done. And I was doing that thing that you really shouldn't do and trying to research, you know, how long does it take a miscarriage to resolve itself? And I was seeing women say it took 6 to 8 weeks for them to start bleeding. And to be honest, I couldn't handle feeling pregnant and knowing I wasn't anymore. That was really hard. And you know, it reminded me of like when you have a breakup and it's a really emotional breakup and you go to bed and you have dreams that everything's okay, and then you wake up in the middle of the night and it hits you, you know, the reality of the fact that things are different hits you, and it's so sickening. And I would feel that way, but I'd also be waking up in the middle of the night because I had to pee so much still, and my breast still felt really sore, and just every sensation that I was feeling, everything I was experiencing hurt that much more to be going through it, because it had been a source of so much joy just days before that. So I tried to keep a lot of that to myself, and I didn't want to burden Mike with all of that, but I kind of had thought through my options, and my first instinct is always that I'd like to keep things as natural as possible. But if you know our story and you know what we've been through, we obviously haven't really done that because we've done a lot by means of prescriptions and fertility drugs. So I thought, what will it hurt just this one time to get this over with? Well, I was met with a lot of really serious cramping and bleeding on the 6th, and I did pass the majority of the pregnancy that day. And I think it was harder after it happened. When it happened, I was driving and I could tell it was happening. So I pulled over at a Kmart. It was the closest place that I knew would have a public restroom, and it didn't look very busy, so that made me feel better. And I proceeded to pass probably 80% of the tissue at a Kmart bathroom, and that was upsetting, but I left and kept driving, went home, and kind of took it easy, tried to drink a lot of water, tried to just not think about it. I took some Advil, but I don't even think it really helped. It's been a very crampy, very painful experience, and the good thing is every time I have felt kind of a surge of really intense, horrible cramping, because I don't really cramp that much when I have my period, so I'm kind of, I don't know, I get spoiled by that, I guess. This cramping was so intense, but every time I'd have kind of a session of cramping, I would pass a little bit more tissue, and it kind of makes me feel like things are going to eventually end. If this is a regular period, it would be almost over by now, but I can tell that there's a lot more to this, and even more than there was with my biochemical pregnancy. So I'm dealing with the physical ramifications of all of that, along with the fact that I had kind of gone off my diet, changed my way of eating to just being kind of anything and reckless and letting myself eat emotionally, and Mike has joined me in that as well. And I know that that doesn't make me feel so great either. My body probably feels kind of crummy for doing that. So we've kind of gotten back into the swing of things. I clean out the cupboards, clean out the fridge, and we're getting right back into the ketogenic way of eating, because we truly feel that that has been a big part of why all of that was possible. But the 7th, let me get to that now that I'm 10 minutes in. The 7th was important because I had a doctor's appointment, and it was with what was supposed to be my new OB. And this is the same OB office that I was scheduled to go to with my first pregnancy with the IVF. I do not know why, but this particular doctor his name was ingrained in my head. And I'm pretty sure it's because I was told that when you have PCOS, you're almost always considered high risk, which I thought was strange. I had never heard that before, but at some point someone said with PCOS, you're considered high risk. And because I have hypertension, I'm automatically high risk no matter what anybody's opinion is regarding the PCOS. So I was given this doctor's name. I don't know where. I don't know if it was a person. I don't know if it was a Google search, honestly. I don't think I know someone who goes there. I would be surprised if that was the case. I think it was probably another doctor's office that suggested them. And my hesitation was that they were 20 minutes away in an area that has such heavy traffic that it's more like a 40-minute to an hour drive to go to this place, unless you're going in the middle of the night, and then it's 20 minutes. So I thought, oh, what a terrible place to go, and is that going to be out of a different hospital than the one that I would prefer to go to? But it didn't matter, because every time I was supposed to go there, I would either lose the pregnancy or I would end up being seen by the fertility center and they'd be like, well, you don't really need to come here yet. So basically for the last year, I've been going back and forth on trying to get to this doctor. And I remember at my week 6 appointment, it was 5 or 6, the fertility center kind of acted like, we need you to have a place that you can graduate to. And so even though it was against how I felt, because I didn't read any books, I didn't have any apps, I wasn't thinking of names, I was basically completely terrified every second of the day that this was all going to be over any minute. So I was not planning that way, but I thought they're going to need this, and if I'm lucky enough to get there, I will already have an appointment, so let's just do it. So I think at week 6, at the week 6 point, I made a phone call and they scheduled me for my week 9 appointment, which was supposed to be the 7th at 1 p.m. Well, a couple days before that, I had called and canceled it. And then when I decided I wanted to do a DNC, I called them back and they still had my old appointment open. That was kind of sad. And they said, why don't you come in on the 7th and we'll discuss your options. Now, I just have to say, I've only been there twice, but I'm very happy so far. All of the nurses, I have called the nurses line a lot. I've been very needy in this short period of time because I've had questions. And I know things have probably changed a lot since I was younger, but when I was like 18 or 19, the gynecologist I was seeing, if I had so much as a drop of blood in my underwear, they did not want me to come in. They always wanted us to call and say, because I think my mom was seeing that same guy at the time, the staff was very period phobic and they didn't want you to go in and have anything done if you were bleeding. Things are very different now, obviously, because I've been there twice during like a miscarriage bleed. So that's been nice, but I got in to see this doctor. Mike went with me the first day, and I don't know if they were weirded out by that or not. They didn't seem to be, but I also think it was probably strange to go in there considering the circumstances and have him be there. But we had a few questions, and I don't know, I guess I just wanted to get a feel for how seriously I was going to be taken. Because in the like 8 or so years that we've been trying, Boz, what are you doing, bud? We have been dismissed a lot. The first 4 years or so when I was just trying to get a diagnosis for why I couldn't get pregnant or lose weight, I was always kind of brushed off. Like, well, lose some weight and then we'll talk. And a lot of you guys have been here with me through my frustration on that. But I don't know. I just wanted to see what it was like. It could have been a nightmare, so I just wanted to know. And we were pleasantly surprised. I went in and, come on. You come up here? Come on. Oh, Bowser wants to hang out. I went in and the doctor kind of was testing me, I think, and was like, why are you here? And I know it was okay for us to be there because I had called the day before and was like, are they going to tell me, like, why did you come in? But he did. He asked me. And I just said, I just want to kind of talk to you about what has happened up until this point and what your opinion is of what we should do next. And now my fertility center has told me in the past that they don't do repeat loss testing until you've had 3 to 4 miscarriages, which seems cruel and ridiculous to me, especially because of how expensive the treatments are and the prescriptions are. And if you, sorry, I'm pulling out a chair for him. And if you have, here you go, buddy. If you have some kind of genetic disorder, why should you keep trying and not know the answers? They have also given me, as you may know, they've given me intralipids, which is normally for natural killer cells, and Lovenox for blood clotting disorders. But they don't test you for those things. They just kind of, as sort of a safety net sort of thing, I believe, give it to you while you're having treatments. But because I conceived naturally, I was only put on progesterone, and at no point did they bring up the other things. And what if I need intralipids, or what if I need something for blood clotting disorder? So I expressed that frustration to the doctor, and he had this look on his face like he agreed, and it sounds stupid to even hear it out loud, but that's just how things are done. I don't know why. There's a lot of politics and strange things that happen because, I learned that today, and I still don't understand it, but I get it. So he said that my exam looked fine. He did a pap smear, he did an exam, and he asked me to come in for an ultrasound. He said, I don't want to do a lot of the things you've already done, like an HSG or test my AMH or any of the things that I've already done on the books in the last couple of years. He says he thinks it's unnecessary and they would have found something already if they needed to. But he did say that he thought I should have an ultrasound and a sonohysterogram, and they scheduled that for today. So today's the 9th. I called them this morning because I was bleeding so heavily this morning. I mean, almost to the point where it was a little bit alarming that I was having such a heavy bleed suddenly. And by that, I mean, just to be extra gross and descriptive, I mean large chunks of tissue surrounded by like a really slimy, like light pink fluid. It's very different from a period. It's very separate, like tissue and gooey pink. It's almost like a lubricant consistency, but it's pink and it's coming out like a period. So, and I had so much cramping and I was feeling really uncomfortable, and I thought, I don't want to get there and have them be like, why are you here if you're still bleeding? And I think that that's just because I was led to believe in the past by other doctors that that wasn't okay. They told me, nope, you're still good to come in. I had to drink a bunch of water, and I went in there, and they performed the ultrasound, which was external, and then they performed an internal ultrasound as well as, excuse me, Bowser, no scratching. They were going to put in a probe and some kind of a solution, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I guess it's not that important. But there was some kind of saline solution thing that went in, and it burst while they were doing it. They were filling me with the solution, and it was really cramping and feeling uncomfortable, and I feel like I can take a lot, and it was starting to feel like unbearable, but I didn't say anything because it was like 20 seconds and it was over. And the doctor said that he wanted to talk to me after the fact, and I went into another room and waited. Now, what I forgot to mention is that yesterday, Mike and I went to have blood drawn for karyotyping because in addition to this procedure today, he said the only other thing that he really wanted to address was whether or not we had any genetic issues between the two of us. So we had blood drawn for karyotyping, and we had to sign all of these documents because, they're dealing with our genetics. And this is the first blood draw we've had of any kind that addresses this issue whatsoever. So we went and did that, and today he asked me, did you guys do that yesterday? And I said yes. And he said he's not going to have that back yet, but he probably won't be calling me unless he sees something that's alarming or worth mentioning. So fingers crossed I don't get a phone call regarding that. Because I don't really know that there's anything that can be done if there's a genetic issue between two people. I really don't think there's a medication for that or anything. So let's hope. But today, when I was talking with him, he said that my lining looked he kind of had a little bit of an attitude, not an attitude, but he had a little bit of an air about him when I said that I had PCOS. He was like, what makes you believe you have PCOS, and what does PCOS mean to you? And I basically said I had a friend who was diagnosed, and I had more side effects of it than she did, so more symptoms of it than she did. So I was trying to see if a doctor would help me and say, yes, that is indeed what you have, and this is what you do about it. And none of the doctors seemed to agree until I saw a specialist. And he said, and what did he do to diagnose you? And I was like, he just looked at me and listened to what I said and was like, yeah, I think you have PCOS. So he said, have you had any blood work done? I mentioned the AMH testing, and he kind of was, once he heard that, he was like, okay. Well, today he said that my inconsistent lining is definitely a sign of PCOS, which is not something I've heard before, is that I have a lining that looks like it's not level, but that's what he said. And he said, so I do kind of feel like I agree at this point. But he wanted to know if there was something else that I wanted to talk about. He said, what is your next step from here? Now, something I didn't mention that happened that was a little bit uncomfortable, and it was the only thing that made the first visit bad, just left this bad feeling with us, is that I did mention to him I had lost 40 pounds and I wanted to lose a minimum of 40 more pounds before I tried any more fertility treatments, but we were also getting kind of antsy, you know. And he said he had a suggestion for me, a program that I could do to get myself in a better metabolic position, because he agreed that that was important. And so he had me talk to a woman who worked in the office, and she pulled Mike and I into her office and like closed the door and started talking to us about a MetaFast program. So that was really awkward, and she was a real hard sell. She was an older woman, and she was really cute and sweet, and I'm glad it works for her, but I just felt a little uncomfortable about that. And it sounds like a lot of the basics of that program are not too far off from what I'm doing now, except it's a lot of prepackaged foods and things like that, and it's definitely a pyramid scheme. But I just, you know, politely declined to make the purchase that day and said I'd think about it in the future, because I didn't want to seem like a completely I think it's probably frustrating for doctors who are like, you need to lose weight, and people are like, no, I'm not going to do what you're telling me. And that's not what I was saying. I just don't want to do it their way, you know? So today he brought that up again. He said, what's your next steps? And I said, well, I do think I should lose at least 20 more pounds before I do anything more, but I would like to lose more. But I have some concerns about my age and the timeline of everything. So he said he understood that, and I also talked to him about the fact that I was concerned about, and I know that this isn't his problem because I should have brought this up, but I think that Mike and I have spent too long just trying to be good patients and just do what everyone says and not be too aggressive. But I don't know why I wasn't prepared for potential natural killer cell issues or blood clotting disorders if I was for a previous cycle, but under their care now, they didn't do that. So I said it's really difficult to feel like they're willing to treat those things, but they're not going to check to see if I even actually need it. And how do I know the doses are appropriate, etc. So he said, you know, I didn't test for those things, and I think I'm going to. He had me bring a whole big sheet to the lab, and I wrote down all these things. Factor V laden, I don't know what that is. Factor V, I'm guessing it's 5. Prothrombin mutation, lupus anticoagulant, protein S, something called PT or PTT, anticardiolipin AB, protein C, anti-beta 2 glycoprotein. I don't know any of those, but these are all blood clotting disorders from what he said. And he wrote up 2 new lab slips. 2 of those fell under another genetic category, so I had to sign my life away for them to check into my genes. And I drove straight to the lab to have those things drawn, because what we agreed upon was that I would try to lose some more weight, whether it was their method or mine. And I will check back with him in 4 months' time and see, you know, what we're planning to do. And that kind of gives me a timeline to work with. But in the meantime, if any of these things come up abnormal, or if there's anything that he considers to be an issue or that would be a red flag, he's going to discuss it with me. This is helpful in the sense that I am going to hopefully learn why I've miscarried twice. But so they take it pretty seriously. If nothing else, this miscarriage was great because it qualified me as having multiple losses, and it gives them an excuse to go through all of this for us. But other than that, I still don't really know why I can't conceive on my own. That's separate from all of this. This is all to see why I can't keep the pregnancy. But in order to conceive on my own, I truly believe I have to have no major blood sugar spikes. I have to really pay attention to my insulin issues, and I have to lose more weight, because I think that those are the things that were taking place in order for me to become pregnant on my own. It could have just been a miracle. Who knows? Mike seems to think that it will happen again. And I think he seems really confident that we'll be able to get pregnant on our own again. I am not so convinced of that. I guess I'm just being cautious, and I'm trying to prepare myself for the worst. I'm still very IVF focused in my mind. I want to get healthy enough to feel like I can justify doing that again. And I'm hoping that by the end of the year, we can plan for a cycle. I did ask him. I said, in the interest of just making sure I've asked, I'm always told that I'm young, but I'm not, because I always hear that 35 is kind of a cutoff point where things can get... Sorry, Mike just called me to check on how things went today, and I completely forgot what I was saying. But I guess what I want to get across at this point is that I need to make some changes, and I think we are headed in the right direction. I'm going to be more aggressive with my weight loss and possibly be less lazy about it and track a lot more so that I can maybe do it more quickly. And we are going to no longer just be good patients and just do what we're told, because if we have questions, if there's a chance that we could make this happen, and all we should have done was said, hey, can you test this, or whatever, or even insisted on something, that's something we'll regret if we don't make that change. So I am happy with this doctor. He's very serious. He's a doctor, man. He doesn't even really smile. He's very serious. But I feel like he's listening to us for the first time in a long time and not just saying what he thinks we want to hear. And what's even nicer is the fact that Mike told him we feel like we aren't taken very seriously and we aren't given as much information as we'd like, and that's been frustrating in the past. And he's an OBGYN. He doesn't deal with infertility, but he certainly is rolling up his sleeves and trying to get as much information as possible. I mean, that karyotyping blood work took almost 40 minutes for them just to find the right codes for the lab, because it's so rare. I mean, everybody else who was in there had a big pregnant belly, so they don't really need to deal with that stuff normally, but he was willing to take the time to do that for us twice this week. And he did say that he's not going to test me for natural killer cells because that is highly controversial, and he kind of seemed uncomfortable with that. And that's one of those things. I don't understand the ins and outs of it. I don't know why so many doctors' offices won't do it. But he said, I have contacts in Buffalo, New York City, and Las Vegas? Yes, Las Vegas. And he said, I will get you in touch with any of them if you want to take some next steps and kind of get into some of that more radical and controversial treatment. And I think that that's what we'll have to do. And if I have to drive to Buffalo for my treatments, I'm not going to like it, but I will do it. And I will gladly do it, anything I need to at this point. So it looks like if and when we do proceed with IVF, it will be several months from now, after I've lost a significant amount of weight, and after I've met with some doctors who are willing to go a little further than what we've been given. And I think it's okay. I think we're ready for a change and for some more help. This did give us hope. It knocked us down a lot because we were in a really good place, and it was so hard to go from probably the most extreme high of our lives to the most extreme low. But we can get through anything at this point, apparently, because we're doing okay. So I thank you guys so much for being here for us, and for just unconditionally caring and loving us, and hoping that things work out for us. And we can't believe all of you perfect strangers, have reached out the way that you have, and it's really nice. I haven't filmed any new videos lately, but we received another pet gift box very graciously from that company, so we will be filming that. We got a dog box this time, and I'm sure my birch box will be here any day now. So I will kind of slowly get back into it with things like that. If there are certain kinds of videos that you guys want to see, let me know. I may make a video on my TTC channel about the types of supplements that I was taking when I did conceive, in case any of you guys are curious about that. If you've been trying yourself, if you have PCOS, and or if you are doing a ketogenic way of eating. So I think that's pretty much everything. That's most of what has happened in the last week. It has given us a lot of hope. It's given us a lot to kind of look forward to, and kind of help take our mind off of where things have been. But don't get me wrong, there are still hard nights, there are still hard moments, and so we're just kind of slowly trying to come back into society and the world after all of that. It's been a lot easier to deal with from underneath some blankets. So, but that is pretty much it. My 33rd birthday is in a couple of days, and that makes me want to cry because I'm so sad and I don't want to celebrate, and I keep forgetting about it. And I'm going to just look forward to the next year, just like every year. And let's hope one of these times it feels like it was worth it. So that's it. Thank you so much, you guys, a million times over. I mean, honestly, this is bonkers. I can't believe I'm putting out into the world the most earth-shattering, painful details of my personal life, and I get so much love back for it, because it feels like a really vulnerable thing to do. But I'm just trying to reach out. If there's somebody who can benefit from our experience at some point, if things take a positive turn and it can help somebody else, that means a lot to me. It makes me feel like it's worth it to go through all this, you know? So thank you again, and I will talk to you guys soon. I love you guys. Bye.